Did the FBI actually break the law with this raid? Because the warrant, we did see the warrant, although we did not see the affidavit. So what we saw what the judge said that the FBI could do, what the FBI could seize, where in Mar-a-Lago the FBI was allowed to go and when. What we did not see is the attachment, the affidavit of FBI sources that told the judge, here's why we think this warrant is necessary. Here's why you should grant us this warrant. So great that we saw the warrant, although after the fact, okay, we really need to see the affidavit. The warrant allowed the FBI to seize literally every single piece of paper that President Trump ever saw as president. I'm not saying this hyperbolically. If you read the warrant, the FBI is allowed to get, I'm going to actually read it to you. This is Attachment B. Attachment B says all physical documents, property to be seized, all physical documents and records constituting evidence, contraband, fruits of crime, or other items illegally possessed in violation of 18 U.S.C. 793, 2071, or 1519, including the following: any physical documents with classification markings, along with any containers, boxes, including any other contents in which such documents are located, as well as any containers and boxes that are collectively stored or found together with the aforementioned documents and containers and boxes. Information, including communication in any form regarding the retrieval, storage, or transmission of national defense information or classified material. But here's the one. Any government and or presidential records created between January 20th, 2017 and January 20th of 2021. So literally every single thing that President Trump touched or read or wrote or made a note on or was given to him, every single record. Okay. The FBI not only seized what they wanted because they had a warrant to seize anything and everything. They also seized attorney-client privilege documents and executive privilege documents. And I don't get this exactly. Attorney-client privilege documents are supposed to protect the person, even if it is a defendant, meaning even if the FBI is conducting some sort of criminal investigation into Trump, Trump has the right to attorney-client privilege. He has the right to have privileged communication between he and his attorney. The government's not allowed to subpoena that. They're not allowed to seize that. They're not allowed to violate that right of Trump's just because the FBI has Trump under investigation. So what's the justification here? Why is the FBI suddenly allowed to do this? And where, by the way, is the outcry? All of these leftists telling us that our democracy is being threatened. One of the bedrock values of our democracy is attorney-client privilege. The fact that you have a right to an attorney and you're allowed and encouraged, of course, to speak with your attorney about things that you might not want your investigators to know about, private information, personal information. How is the FBI just allowed to go in and seize this? The same with executive privilege documents. That's a little bit different than attorney-client privilege, but executive privilege documents generally relate to conversations that a president had with his advisors. This is also a bedrock foundational principle of how the executive branch of our government is run. It would be incredibly dangerous if a president felt that he couldn't have private conversations with his advisors, because otherwise he would suffer the political ramifications of every cable news channel in the entire country talking about these private conversations, political strategy, maybe not so nice things that you said about your opponents. Maybe things that you're worried about, people on your own team that you don't want, bad ideas that you're batting around during brainstorm sessions. It would be incredibly destructive if a president could only have public conversations. Think for a second about the State of the Union address. Think about how well crafted that is. Every single word in every single line, in every single paragraph, all working together like this orchestra to create this message, to try to speak to the American people, both people that support the president, people that are opposed to the president. This speech takes months to craft. But the president, when he's crafting that, he talks about, with his advisors, well, what do we want the American people to take away from this speech? What do we want to focus on? What do we not want to focus on? What do people approve of that I'm doing? What do people oppose? He talks about those things with his advisors. That's what executive privilege is. A president has to protect being able to say stupid things and have bad ideas in brainstorming sessions, talk about strengths and weaknesses without every single person on the earth knowing. And not just for re-election campaigns. This is true for everything, for how you handle foreign policy, how you handle hostile nations. But the FBI, what did they do? They tell us no one's above the law, but clearly they think they're above the law because there's a law that prohibits people from simply seizing executive privileged information and attorney-client privileged documents, and yet that's what the FBI did.